Hello, fellow teachers. My name is Cascade Dussel, and I have been a teacher for almost 20 years. I wanted to share with you something that I recently discovered that has really changed my life. It's changed the way that I work, it's changed the amount of time that I have to do other tasks, and it's reignited my passion for teaching. It is an amazing tool, and I wanted to share with you a little bit about it. It is called Brisk, and it is a Chrome extension that can be used. It's powered by artificial intelligence, and it helps teachers complete a variety of tasks. So let's take a look at some of the things that it can do for us.
Teaching is time-consuming, and we know there are tedious, repetitive tasks that can take away from quality time focused on learners and your well-being. Brisk is here to help. Change the reading level of news articles. Generate personalized curriculum in a couple of clicks. Then, when your students have finished their assignments, provide your learners with more feedback opportunities by letting Brisk take a first pass and analyze class progress and growth areas without having to read through every assignment, understand the effort students put into assignments, and detect students using ChatGPT. Install Brisk so you can work less and teach more.
So that's a great introduction to what it can do. I'm going to show you some specifics a little bit deeper. So it is a tool, specifically a Chrome extension, that can help you with grading feedback. It can help you create curriculum, lessons, quizzes. If you're a virtual teacher, it can help you create live lessons, PowerPoints, presentations, all sorts of things. And it can also change the reading level of texts. It can help with differentiation of material and leveling of text to make it more accessible to students. It has saved me days, months, and I'm sure it will save me years of my time by helping to give essays and assignments an outline of feedback for me to build on. I've really found this to be an amazing tool, and I am dying to share it with you. I really believe that teachers deserve tools that can help them be more effective. It's been a rough few years in our profession, and kids are struggling and teachers are struggling. And this is a tool that can really help bring some balance into your life, increase your well-being, and motivate you. It's just, to me, it's so exciting that we have this tool that we can use to help lighten our workload while not changing the quality of what we're doing. That's really important to me. So what it can do, it can detect ChatGPT use or any other artificial intelligence. It can create quizzes, worksheets, exit tickets, any number of materials, science lab reports. It can help provide grading feedback. One super cool thing that it can do is link that feedback specifically to rubrics. So you can upload a rubric into Brisk and ask it to grade assignments and give feedback based on that rubric, and it does it flawlessly. It can also give targeted feedback inside of a document that a student turns in. So if you're using a Google Doc, if the student has turned in a Google Doc, you can use the targeted feedback function to give it specific feedback in the places where it matters most. What this does is really free up our time for more high-touch student experiences. We can actually teach more. I have found it to be really freeing in terms of, I'm someone that prides myself on giving really quality, thoughtful, actionable feedback. And this has helped me do that even more than I was doing before. So I've really appreciated that function. Another cool thing that it can do is analyze multiple assignments and identify the areas of further need of instruction in your course, in your specific class. So it'll tell you what area of the assignment is lacking and helps you fill in those gaps. It can also identify time that your students are spending editing their documents, essays, and identify specific copied and pasted portions. So if you have a student that needs to revise, and you can see if they've done that, if they haven't done it, if they've used your feedback. It also can help make complex technical texts more accessible to our students, which is another cool thing that I have used quite a bit, actually. What it can't do, and you'll notice this list is a lot shorter, it can't replace teachers' personalized feedback or build personal connections with students, but it gives us the time back to do that, right? it can't provide our personal examples to students. So I always try to intertwine that into my feedback, but I'm taking what Brisk is doing and building on it and making it my own. And it's saving me 99% of the time that I was spending before to do just that. And it also can't always be right. You always want to double check its answers, just like any artificial intelligence, which is notoriously inaccurate sometimes in the mathematical area. So those are things to sort of keep in mind, that you want to always double check the material before you use it, right? So here is a specific example of how it changes the reading level of a document. So it can take a document that's in a 10th grade reading level, an article from the New York Times that maybe you want to share with your 3rd grade class, and you can change the reading level to the 3rd grade reading level. If you want to challenge your students, you can move it up a grade. So there's all sorts of things that you can do, that you can use to differentiate material and to make other materials more accessible and bring those into your classroom. So that is really neat. What I use it for the most is its grading feedback functions. Like I said, giving quality feedback is really important to me. I think it's one way to respect my students, but also for me to be able to shape their progress in the course directly. So it's a one-on-one feedback mechanism, and this helps build an outline for me to build on. So it gives me glows, grows, and wondering. So the glows are positives. It right off the bat takes something that the student did really well and goes into that. So we're sort of sandwiching the feedback, right? And then in the middle, it's giving you some grows, some areas where you could improve or expand upon your work. And then at the end, it gives you some critical thought wonderings, some areas for improvement, some things that you could add that would really level up your work. You can copy any or all of those portions of feedback and plug them into your assignment or into an email or into your rubric, whatever it is that you use to give your students feedback. So let's take a look at some examples of just how it does that. So you're going to use the Brisk extension. You're going to click on it. And if you are using a Google Doc, it'll recognize it automatically. If you're using Canvas, it'll recognize it automatically. A number of LMSs where it's integrated, you can use it flawlessly. Some things you need to highlight first, which is one extra step, but it's a super fast one. So if you want it to look at just one portion, you can highlight that portion and ask it to look at that. You can also give it prompts. So just like any artificial intelligence, the better the prompt that you give it, the more specific the prompt that you give it, the better output you're going to get. So you can link it to a rubric. You can ask it to focus on stylistic. You can ask to give summative or formative feedback. There's all sorts of things that you can do inside the prompt area, or you can leave it blank and you can take the general feedback and add your own. So this is how you would do it. This is how fast it is. It is really this fast. I'm going to show you an example of a paper that I used Brisk on and let you take a look at this.
All right, so I'm going to show you what Brisk can do in terms of giving grading feedback. Now, it has lots of different functionality, and this is just sort of a basic pass-through. So there's other things it can do. This is not exhaustive, but I'm going to give you an idea of how we might be able to use it. So this is a paper. This is actually one of my son's papers from a class he took last summer, an Arabic 319 class about Arabian Nights. So I guess this assignment asked to look at the role and character of Scheherazade in the frame story of Arabian Nights. So analyze, I guess, her role. I don't really know what it was, but let's take a look at some feedback that Brisk can give for us. So what you're going to do is, after you've installed the Chrome extension for Brisk, you're going to have this little bee down here in the corner, and it's going to be floating when you have the extension activated. So you can turn it off for sure, but if you are working and you want to have it on, you can also leave it on. So you're going to click on the bee, and it's going to give you several different options. So for our purposes right now, we're going to look at giving feedback. So let's say this was my class and I had assigned this essay. I read it. Maybe nothing came to mind, or I had some ideas, or I wanted like an outline of where to start with feedback. I could click on Give Feedback. So I can give targeted feedback, and I can align this to a rubric. So if this assignment had a rubric, I could connect it with the rubric and it would give feedback and link it back to the rubric. So when you have the rubrics that give specific points for different things, it will actually help you score and suggest a score. Mind-blowing, right? Probably the one that we would use the most would be Glow and Grow, which is going to give some positive feedback, some suggestions for improvement, and then some perhaps questions or wonderings that you might have things to address, right? So let's click on that one for our purposes. And if we wanted to align it to specific standards, we could do that. If we wanted to upload the rubric, we could do that. 4th grade, no, let's go 12th grade. Let's say we're grading an English paper in 12th grade. We would then click on Brisket, not the barbecue, but this Brisket, and see what will magically happen. It says feedback will appear here soon. So it's pretty fast in my experience. Wow, so look at that. It even pulled his name. Oh my goodness. So Will, your essay demonstrates a deep engagement with the character of Scheherazade and her role in Arabian Nights. You have effectively used a variety of sources to support your analysis, shows a commendable level of research, your writing style is fluid, and your argument, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so this is a great place to start, right? So any conversations that I've had with the student, maybe in a DBA or in a live lesson or in, phone calls with them, I could refer back here because obviously our goal is to have personalized feedback, and this is not personalized in the way that we want, right? So we would connect it back to specific experiences, conversations we've had. We can add all that in, but this is an amazing place to start, right? It also gives you some areas to grow. While your essay is rich in content, it could benefit from a clear organizational structure. Consider introducing your main points in the introduction. So this is actually stylistic feedback. And then it gets into substantive feedback here, where it says, additionally, you've included a variety of sources. Remember consistency, academic tone, colloquial expressions such as brings the story full circle, which may detract from the scholarly nature of your work. And then wonderings. So here's where you leave your students a little food for thought, or perhaps this could be used as an editing tool, right, for a rough draft. As you delve into Scheherazade's character, I'm curious how you perceive the balance between her self-preservation and altruistic motives. Holy moly, this thing is smart. Do you believe her actions are primarily driven by a desire to save herself, or is there a larger, more selfless goal at play? So this freaking computer has actually read the 900 pages of Arabian Night, or it feels like they have. So what you can do is you can either copy this feedback and paste.
So there you go. That is a little bit of an example of what it can do and some of the phenomenal feedback it can give you. So the feedback functions, there is actionable feedback. You can customize it to your own authentic style. It works in a lot of different LMSs and Google Docs and Canvas and Educator and a lot of different formats. It can give you some rubric aligned feedback. It can give you some next steps. So it gives you actual action steps to make the feedback more effective for students. It can work in any Google Doc, even if it's embedded in an LMS like Google Classroom. And it can work on any assignment in any other platform. If it's not integrated, all you have to do is highlight the text. So that's something super cool. And it also works in Google Slides. So a lot of different options for using the feedback. Another thing it can do is help to detect AI. So a lot of times students will unfortunately use AI to generate their work entirely. And when they do that, Brisk can help you detect that. So there's a button that you would click that would say detect AI writing. And it gives you a likely scale. So it goes from unlikely to more likely. Obviously, these are all things that just kind of give you a little bit of, it's a little bit of a tool. It isn't an absolute. It can also tell you the time that someone spent editing a document. So if they opened a document and they were in there for a minute, they probably didn't write a 10-page essay, right? So it's just sort of another piece of information that you have at your disposal. It also can help inspect writing that will help do what we just talked about and gauge a student's efforts and edit history. So it can tell you how many times they've copied and pasted, how many different edits, and the amount of time that they spent doing it. It also can replay a version history like a video. So it will show you, type, backspace, backspace, type, and it will show you exactly how it was generated. So that is a really cool feature that you can do in Google Docs. So it uses, how does it work? It uses a tool, a detector called Sapling, which is a service to help determine the probability that an essay was generated using AI. It analyzes the structure and the syntax and other linguistic features to help differentiate between human produced writing and machine generated. So that's another thing that you can have. So best practices with AI. I always use the 80-20 rule. It can do 80% of the work, but we want to make sure that we always review for accuracy, personalize, and make the material relevant to our students, right? So we can be as specific as possible in our prompts to help us do that. The more that we do that, the better result that we get, or the more personalized result that we get. So what can we do? We can create quizzes. A really neat feature that I use it for is I will take a lesson or an article and I'll ask it to pull out 10 key vocabulary words, and it actually generates a list of those words with definitions. With that list, you can make a quiz, you can make a study guide, you can make a lesson plan, you can leave sub-plans for someone. There's lots of different things that you can use those features for, and it takes seconds. It really takes seconds to help make module reviews, study guides, lots of different material. Right now it is free for teachers for the 23-24 school year. It's currently in the process of integrating with other platforms. You also can go onto the Brisk website and become Brisk certified in a 1-hour Brisk run training. It's actually less than an hour, but no more than an hour. And you can learn about what it does. You can practice, you can see it in action. So I encourage you to go to briskteaching.com and check all of this out. Thank you so much for your time.